There are many positive and negative effects of gun control every single day in America. Looking at this graph, we can tell that America has the most firearms per 100 residents. Looking at this pie chart, we can tell that most Americans want gun laws to be stricter. This chart shows that Democrats and Republicans have similar viewpoints on preventing the mentally ill from purchasing guns. They also have similar viewpoints on letting people without a watch list or any background checks from getting guns. This shows that Republicans think it's okay for more people to carry guns in more places. The chart also shows that Republicans want teachers and officials to carry guns in schools compared to Democrats, which do not.
This two-part test first asked whether the regulation implicates the Second Amendment at all. In other words, does the Second Amendment cover the matter in question? And if it doesn't, well, theoretically, that's the end of the case. And frequently, this first part of the two-part test relies on some evaluation of the history of the regulation or its pedigree, either in its specific details or, as often, in its overall purpose. For example, Heller says fairly definitively that concealed carry can be prohibited. In fact, Justice Scalia used concealed carry prohibitions in his opinion as illustrative of a presumptively lawful historical prohibition, saying, quote, "For example, the majority of the 19th century courts to consider the question held that prohibitions on carrying concealed weapons were lawful under the Second Amendment or state analogs. Therefore, according to Heller, prohibitions on concealed carry do not raise the Second Amendment question at all because there is a long history of regulating concealed carry." Similarly, Heller suggests that machine guns can be prohibited because machine guns fall within a historical prohibition on the possession or carrying of dangerous and unusual weapons. It's not that these regulations on concealed carry or on machine guns require some other kind of justification to support them. These laws are just categorically constitutional under the Second Amendment in the same way that prohibitions on extortion or securities fraud are categorically constitutional under the First Amendment. Now, if the Second Amendment covers the regulation at issue, the second part of the test asks whether the regulation impermissibly burdens the right to keep and bear arms, and this is a protection question. And typically, judges apply some means-in scrutiny to this protection question, examining the purpose of the legislation and how tightly the regulation fits its stated purpose. If the regulation burdens too much core Second Amendment activity, then it's unconstitutional, but if its burdens are minor, then the regulation can stand. So a prohibition, for example, on possessing a firearm with obliterated serial numbers has been held to be constitutional. It covers the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is implicated, but the regulation's burdens are so minimal that it can survive the challenge.
If you could change the law on gun control, what would you change?
I think I would make it a bit less strict. I don't think it should be this strict. I think it should still be handled while not being extremely overwhelming to gun owners.
If you could change the laws on gun control, what would you change?
To make it harder for people to buy a gun.
If you could change the laws on gun control, what would you change?
I don't feel very comfortable with how easily people can get a gun, so I would make the laws a little more strict.
If you could change the laws on gun control, what would you change?
I would change I think guns should still be allowed, but I don't think they should be as broad, especially assault rifles that the whole country should have strict licensing.
How strict should getting a gun be?
I think getting a gun should be strict while not being too overbearing. I think that in order to get a gun, you should have the right background, you should have good intentions, and I think that it shouldn't be very strict.
How strict do you think getting a gun should be?
I think it should be somewhat strict. Like you should have to get a background check and stuff like that.
How strict should getting a gun be?
It should be a lot more stricter than it is right now.
How strict should getting a gun be?
It should be pretty strict because there's a lot of people with mental disabilities that can get
Stop it. In conclusion, do you agree or disagree with gun control laws as they are now?
I disagree.
Do you agree or disagree with gun control?
Overall, overall, I'd say gun control is a good idea, but I would have to agree with not having gun control.
In conclusion, do you agree or disagree with gun control laws as they are now?
Yes, I do.
In conclusion, do you agree or disagree with gun control laws as they are now?
I currently disagree with the current laws.
If you could change the laws on gun control, what would you change?
If I had the ability to change the laws on gun control, I would make it more difficult for people to have background checks and make sure that they can be accountable when they own guns.
If you could change the laws on gun control,